The heart does not abandon its path through loud disobedience, but through comfort that slowly dulls attention and replaces awareness. What begins as harmless ease settles into familiarity, and familiarity quietly reshapes direction without asking permission. The soul does not feel a rupture, only a softening, where presence thins, concern fades, and distance begins to feel normal rather than alarming. This is how the heart slips without realizing it, not by choosing to turn away, but by no longer watching where it stands. Remain with this reflection, because the unnoticed movements of the heart carry the greatest weight, and what escapes awareness often determines where the soul ultimately arrives. Comfort enters the heart quietly, not as pleasure alone, but as relief from vigilance. The heart begins to rest from asking itself where it stands, trusting that continuity means correctness. What once required reflection now passes without examination. This ease feels earned, even deserved, yet it carries a hidden cost. When questioning fades, awareness loosens. The heart becomes settled, but less awake. The heart was never meant to remain unexamined, because self-questioning is not doubt, but protection. When comfort dulls this instinct, the soul loses its internal mirror. Actions continue smoothly, yet meaning thins beneath them. The heart assumes alignment because nothing feels wrong. This assumption quietly replaces attentiveness. Comfort begins to veil truth. Inner questioning keeps the heart supple, responsive to subtle shifts in direction. Without it, the heart stiffens around familiar patterns. Familiarity creates confidence, and confidence resists inquiry. The soul becomes certain of its state without truly seeing it. What cannot be seen cannot be corrected. Comfort shields the heart from necessary discomfort. When the heart grows comfortable, it avoids interruption. Pauses feel unnecessary, silence feels unproductive, and reflection feels excessive. The soul fills its space with movement to avoid stillness. Stillness would reveal condition. Comfort prefers continuity over clarity. The heart drifts gently beneath activity. Questioning once arose naturally through sensitivity. Comfort dulls this sensitivity by normalizing imbalance. What would have unsettled the heart earlier now feels tolerable. Tolerance becomes acceptance, and acceptance becomes habit. Habit removes urgency. The heart settles into patterns that no longer invite awareness. The comforted heart confuses peace with numbness. True peace carries alertness, while numbness carries quiet withdrawal. Without questioning, the heart cannot distinguish between the two. It settles into stillness without presence. This stillness feels safe, but lacks depth. Comfort replaces discernment. When questioning fades, intention becomes assumed rather than renewed. The heart trusts yesterday's sincerity to carry today's actions. This trust is misplaced, because sincerity lives in presence, not memory. Memory cannot sustain awareness. The heart relies on form while neglecting essence. Comfort maintains appearances. The heart grows comfortable when it no longer feels the need to listen inwardly. External signals replace internal ones. Approval substitutes for alignment. The soul measures itself by continuity rather than depth. Comfort thrives on external reassurance. The inner voice softens into silence. Questioning requires humility, and comfort resists humility gently. The heart prefers to believe it has arrived rather than remain a traveler. Arrival ends inquiry. The soul relaxes into certainty. This certainty blocks growth without announcing danger. Comfort convinces the heart it is safe. The unexamined heart stops recognizing subtle resistance. Resistance once signaled misalignment. Comfort smooths over this signal. The heart moves forward without friction. Friction is uncomfortable, yet necessary. Without it, direction shifts unnoticed. Comfort reduces the heart's appetite for truth. Truth unsettles, while comfort reassures. The soul begins to prefer reassurance over revelation. Revelation requires openness to change. Comfort resists change quietly. The heart settles for stability rather than alignment. The habit of questioning preserves sensitivity. Its absence dulls perception. The heart becomes less responsive to reminders. What once stirred awareness now passes as information. Information without transformation leaves the heart unchanged. Comfort accepts unchanged states. The heart that no longer questions itself avoids inner risk. Questioning exposes uncertainty. Comfort avoids uncertainty by clinging to routine. Routine feels reliable, but it does not guarantee truth. The soul confuses reliability with correctness. Comfort strengthens this confusion. When comfort dominates, reflection feels unnecessary. The heart believes it knows enough. Knowing without seeing leads to blindness. Blindness feels safe when movement is smooth. The soul moves confidently without awareness. Comfort protects blindness. The questioning heart remains alive because it listens. The comfortable heart grows quiet because it stops listening. Silence without listening becomes emptiness. The soul fills emptiness with activity. Comfort thrives in filled emptiness. The loss of questioning removes the heart's ability to recalibrate. Life changes, yet the heart remains fixed. Fixation feels stable but limits responsiveness. The soul adapts poorly to subtle shifts. Comfort resists adjustment. Comfort dulls the urgency of return. Return feels unnecessary when nothing appears wrong. The heart postpones reflection indefinitely. Indefinite postponement becomes permanent neglect. Comfort stretches, neglect gently. The heart begins to equate lack of pain with correctness. Pain once prompted return. Without pain, return feels excessive. Comfort convinces the soul that correction is unnecessary. This belief deepens distance quietly. Questioning keeps the heart honest. Comfort encourages self-assurance. Self-assurance reduces vigilance. Vigilance once guarded orientation. Without it, orientation drifts. Comfort allows drift without alarm. The heart that questions itself remains open. The heart that grows comfortable closes gently. Closure feels restful but restricts flow. The soul loses elasticity. Comfort replaces openness with containment. Comfort does not destroy the heart. It stills it. The heart continues, yet it no longer listens deeply. What was once alive becomes settled. The danger is not collapse, but quiet stagnation. Comfort succeeds when questioning disappears. Inner presence does not vanish through conflict, but through neglect that arrives without disturbance. The heart continues its movements, yet attention thins beneath them. What once felt vivid becomes faint, and what once demanded awareness becomes automatic. This weakening is quiet, almost polite, asking nothing and taking much. The soul feels functional, not absent. Presence recedes, while life proceeds unchanged. Presence is sustained by listening rather than effort, and when listening softens, presence loosens its hold. The heart begins to rely on memory instead of immediacy. Past clarity replaces current awareness. The soul assumes continuity where renewal is required. This assumption dulls perception gently. What fades is not belief, but aliveness. The weakening of presence begins when the heart stops returning to itself. Return requires pause, and pause feels unnecessary when momentum feels safe. The soul avoids interruption, mistaking smoothness for alignment. Without interruption, awareness has nowhere to re-enter. Presence yields space to habit. Habit moves without noticing what it replaces. Inner presence is not loud, it is attentive. When attentiveness declines, nothing collapses outwardly. The heart remains capable, yet less receptive. Guidance still arrives, but it is no longer felt. The soul hears without registering. Presence weakens when reception fades. As presence thins, the heart becomes occupied with surfaces. Depth feels optional. The soul learns to live efficiently rather than attentively. Efficiency rewards speed, not awareness. Presence slows what efficiency accelerates. The heart chooses convenience over contact. Presence requires vulnerability to the present moment. When vulnerability feels risky, the heart shields itself through distraction. Distraction fills space without nourishing it. The soul becomes busy without being awake. Presence retreats where distraction settles. The weakening of presence reduces the heart's sensitivity to subtle imbalance. Signals once felt clearly now pass unnoticed. The soul adapts to this absence, calling it normal. Normalization removes urgency. Presence depends on urgency to remain near. Without presence, remembrance becomes mechanical. Words continue while listening withdraws. The heart speaks without turning. This speech maintains form without connection. Presence weakens when form substitutes for encounter. The soul begins to prioritize continuity over clarity. Clarity disrupts, while continuity comforts. Presence disrupts gently by revealing what is real. Comfort resists this revelation. The heart chooses steadiness over truth. Presence does not require intensity, but it does require availability. When availability is compromised by constant engagement, presence thins. The heart remains occupied with what comes next. Awareness loses its footing in now. Presence waits where availability returns. As presence weakens, the heart stops noticing subtle joy. Joy once signaled alignment. Without it, the soul becomes emotionally flat. Flatness feels stable but lacks warmth. Presence fades where warmth disappears. The heart confuses calmness with presence. Calmness can exist without awareness. Presence carries alertness within calm. When alertness fades, calm becomes inert. The soul settles into stillness without life. Inner presence is sustained by curiosity toward the present. When curiosity fades, attention follows. The heart assumes it already knows what is here. This assumption closes perception. Presence dissolves where perception closes. Presence weakens when the heart avoids silence. Silence reveals condition. Avoidance fills space with noise. Noise prevents awareness from settling. The soul becomes accustomed to constant input. Presence withdraws quietly. The weakening of presence alters how the heart responds to reminders. Reminders feel distant rather than immediate. The soul understands without feeling. Understanding without feeling does not transform. Presence requires felt recognition. As presence thins, the heart loses its ability to rest without distraction. Restlessness replaces stillness. The soul seeks stimulation to avoid emptiness. Emptiness feels uncomfortable when presence is weak. Presence restores comfort within emptiness. Presence aligns intention with action. When presence weakens, intention fragments. Actions proceed without inner coherence. The soul feels scattered while remaining busy. Presence once unified movement. The heart begins to rely on external structures to compensate for inner absence. Structure replaces awareness. While structure supports form, it cannot restore presence. The soul remains organized but distant. Presence cannot be outsourced. The weakening of presence reduces the heart's resilience. Small disturbances feel larger. Without grounding in awareness, reactions intensify. Presence once absorbed shock gently. Its absence exposes vulnerability. Presence fades not because it is fragile, but because it is patient. It waits without insisting. The heart mistakes this patience for absence. Only when attention returns does presence reveal it never left. The weakening of inner presence is not loss, but neglect made habitual. What was always near becomes overlooked. The heart does not fall, it drifts. Presence waits quietly for recognition, unchanged and available, ready to return the moment it is noticed again. Distance first enters the heart as something noticeable, a faint discomfort that signals separation from presence. Over time, repetition dulls this signal, and what once felt heavy becomes familiar. Familiarity removes urgency, and urgency is what draws the heart back inward. When distance feels ordinary, awareness has quietly stepped aside. The soul adapts to separation without recognizing it as loss. What adapts too easily rarely returns quickly. The heart was created to sense nearness instinctively, yet when distance persists, that instinct weakens. The soul begins to function without tasting closeness, relying on memory rather than experience. Memory comforts without demanding return. In this comfort, distance settles like background noise. The heart continues, unaware that something essential has thinned. Ordinariness hides absence effectively. When distance feels ordinary, longing softens into tolerance. Tolerance replaces resistance, and resistance once guarded orientation. The heart stops pushing back against separation. What is not resisted gains stability. The soul calls this acceptance maturity, unaware that something vital has been surrendered. Distance grows roots where resistance dissolves. Ordinary distance reshapes expectation. The heart no longer anticipates nearness. Without anticipation, seeking fades. Without seeking, recognition rarely occurs. The soul accepts a reduced range of awareness as sufficient. Sufficiency lowers the heart's aim. Distance thrives where expectations shrink. The heart adjusts its rhythm to accommodate absence. What once felt incomplete now feels adequate. Adequacy replaces fullness. The soul lives within limits it did not choose consciously. Distance feels safe because it is predictable. Predictability soothes the ego while the heart recedes. When distance feels ordinary, remembrance becomes symbolic rather than lived. Words remain, but their weight lightens. The heart remembers without turning. This symbolic connection maintains identity without restoring intimacy. Distance hides behind form. The soul mistakes familiarity for closeness. Ordinary distance alters perception of time. Moments pass without depth. The present feels thin, lacking texture. The heart moves through life without fully arriving. Distance stretches quietly across days. What is stretched gradually becomes invisible. The heart learns to operate without inner confirmation. Actions no longer ask for presence to proceed. This autonomy feels empowering. Yet power without alignment leads astray. Distance strengthens when the heart stops checking its orientation. When distance is ordinary, correction feels unnecessary. The heart does not sense urgency to return. Without urgency, postponement feels harmless. Postponement becomes habit. Habit stabilizes distance without resistance. The soul begins to interpret calmness as peace. True peace carries aliveness, while calmness without presence carries dullness. The heart confuses the two. This confusion allows distance to persist unchallenged. Ordinary distance hides beneath emotional neutrality. Distance that feels ordinary reshapes desire. The heart desires less depth to avoid discomfort. Depth once revealed absence. Avoidance becomes preference. The soul chooses comfort over closeness. Distance settles where depth is avoided. When ordinariness replaces alarm, reminders lose impact. What once awakened now informs. Information does not disturb settled distance. The heart hears without responding. Distance gains ground where response fades. The heart stops remembering how closeness felt. Without reference, loss becomes undetectable. The soul believes its current state is complete. Completion ends seeking. Distance stabilizes where seeking ends. Ordinary distance dulls gratitude. Gratitude requires recognition of gift. When presence is absent, recognition fades. The heart thanks without feeling. Distance persists where feeling withdraws. The soul becomes accustomed to moving without inward dialogue. Silence becomes empty rather than inhabited. Empty silence feels uncomfortable, so it is avoided. Avoidance fills life with noise. Distance thrives in noise. When distance feels ordinary, repentance feels excessive. Correction seems unnecessary. The heart believes it is close enough. Enough becomes the enemy of depth. Distance expands where standards lower. The heart adjusts its identity to include separation. Separation becomes part of self-understanding. What becomes identity is rarely questioned. Distance embeds itself within self-image. Ordinary distance reduces sensitivity to subtle guidance. Guidance still arrives, but it is not felt. The soul receives instruction without connection. Distance dulls reception. The heart begins to fear nearness, because nearness would disrupt comfort. Disruption threatens stability. Stability without presence is fragile. Distance protects fragility by avoiding change. Distance does not declare itself as loss. It presents itself as normal life. The heart does not collapse. It adapts. What adapts without awareness drifts far. Distance succeeds when it feels like nothing at all. Neglect rarely announces itself as absence. It presents itself as balance, calm, and control. The heart feels settled, routines feel intact, and nothing appears urgent. This appearance creates reassurance, convincing the soul that all is well. Yet stability that does not arise from awareness is only surface stillness. Beneath it, attention thins quietly. Neglect succeeds when calm replaces consciousness. True stability is alive and responsive, while neglect produces stillness without vitality. The heart continues without disturbance, yet it no longer listens inwardly. This silence feels peaceful, but it lacks depth. What is missing is not activity, but attentiveness. The soul mistakes lack of disturbance for harmony. Neglect hides comfortably in this mistake. Neglect disguises itself by maintaining form. Practices continue, responsibilities are met, and behavior remains consistent. Consistency creates trust, and trust lowers vigilance. The heart assumes alignment because nothing has collapsed. Yet alignment requires renewal, not repetition. Neglect feeds on unrenewed continuity. The soul often welcomes this form of stability because it removes inner tension. Questioning fades, reflection feels unnecessary, and movement becomes automatic. Automatic movement reduces friction, and friction once signaled awareness. Without friction, direction shifts unnoticed. Neglect gains strength through smoothness. Stability born of neglect avoids interruption. Pauses feel disruptive, and silence feels inefficient. The heart fills space to preserve flow. Flow becomes the measure of success rather than truth. The soul prefers uninterrupted motion to examined direction. Neglect thrives where interruption is avoided. Neglect masks itself by reducing discomfort. The heart no longer aches for depth. This relief feels like growth, but it is actually desensitization. Sensitivity once protected orientation. Without it, the heart adapts to misalignment. Neglect benefits from adaptation. The appearance of stability discourages return. Return feels unnecessary when nothing feels wrong. The soul postpones inward, turning indefinitely. Postponement becomes habit, and habit feels stable. Neglect extends itself gently through delay. Neglect convinces the heart that effort is no longer required. Effort is mistaken for strain rather than care. The soul rests from attentiveness, believing it has earned ease. This ease lacks awareness. Stability without awareness is merely suspension. When neglect masquerades as stability, the heart stops distinguishing between form and presence. Form remains visible, presence withdraws quietly. The soul relies on structure to replace awareness. Structure supports form but cannot restore life. Neglect hides behind structure. The heart becomes confident in its state without verifying it. Verification feels unnecessary when everything appears intact. This confidence reduces humility. Humility invites correction. Confidence resists it. Neglect grows where humility fades. Neglect stabilizes the surface while eroding depth. The soul lives comfortably within reduced awareness. Reduced awareness feels manageable. What is manageable feels acceptable. Neglect settles where acceptance replaces attentiveness. The heart confuses predictability with trust. Predictable routines create a sense of security. Security lowers alertness. Alertness once guarded sincerity. Neglect enters where alertness sleeps. Neglect presents itself as maturity. Emotional reactions soften, intensity fades, and the soul feels composed. Composure without awareness becomes indifference. Indifference feels safe because it does not disturb. Neglect prefers indifference to engagement. The stability of neglect lacks curiosity. The heart no longer wonders about its condition. Wonder once opened doors inwardly. Without wonder, exploration ceases. Neglect remains unchallenged. Neglect reduces the heart's appetite for truth. Truth unsettles comfort. The soul chooses reassurance over revelation. Stability becomes protection against change. Neglect flourishes where change is resisted. The heart becomes efficient but shallow. Tasks are completed without inward participation. Participation requires presence. Without presence, effort lacks depth. Neglect thrives in efficiency divorced from awareness. Neglect dulls responsiveness to guidance. Guidance arrives, but it no longer penetrates. The heart hears without registering. Stability persists without transformation. Neglect preserves form while blocking renewal. The soul begins to fear disruption. Disruption threatens stability. Stability feels necessary to maintain order. Order without awareness becomes rigidity. Neglect solidifies within rigidity. Neglect survives because it feels reasonable. Nothing appears broken. The heart does not feel lost. Yet being not lost is not the same as being aligned. Neglect hides in this distinction. Neglect does not collapse the heart. It suspends it. Life continues, but inward movement slows. The soul stands still while believing it is stable. This stillness is not rest, but forgetfulness. Neglect succeeds when stability replaces presence. Awareness does not return because the heart is punished, but because it is remembered. The moment of return arrives quietly, without drama or force. Something within the soul recognizes itself again, not through effort, but through clarity. This recognition interrupts drift without resistance. The heart does not rush forward. It turns inward. Return begins as seeing, not doing. The return of awareness is often triggered by subtle unease. This unease is not meant to wound, but to awaken sensitivity. It signals that distance has been noticed. What is noticed regains relevance. Awareness steps back into its place gently, without accusation. The heart realizes it has not been abandoned. Recognition restores orientation. When awareness returns, time seems to gather itself. Past neglect is not reviewed with regret, but understood with honesty. The heart does not condemn its journey. It simply acknowledges where it stands. This acknowledgement stabilizes perception. Return does not rewrite the past. It reorients the present. The moment awareness must return is marked by stillness rather than urgency. Urgency belongs to fear, while return belongs to trust. The heart pauses long enough to listen. In this pause, the inner voice becomes audible again. Awareness rises naturally where listening resumes. Silence becomes inhabited. Awareness returns when the heart stops defending its distance. Defense once protected comfort. Comfort no longer satisfies. The soul releases justification. Release opens space. Awareness fills what resistance once occupied. The heart often expects return to feel heavy. Instead, it feels relieving. What weighed the soul was not awareness, but its absence. When awareness re-enters, weight redistributes. The heart feels lighter, not burdened. Return restores balance rather than obligation. Return does not require perfection. Awareness does not wait for readiness. It arrives the moment honesty appears. Honesty opens the door without ceremony. The heart does not prepare for awareness. It allows it. Allowing dissolves resistance. As awareness returns, the heart regains its sense of proportion. Small things no longer feel overwhelming. Large matters regain appropriate weight. Perspective sharpens gently. The soul begins to see clearly without effort. Awareness reorganizes the inner world naturally. The moment of return often feels ordinary. No vision announces it. No emotion confirms it. The heart simply knows where it is again. This knowing carries quiet authority. Awareness does not need validation. When awareness returns, the heart remembers how to listen to itself. Inner dialogue resumes without noise. Guidance becomes accessible again. The soul feels accompanied rather than directed. Return restores intimacy with the unseen. Awareness brings humility without humiliation. The heart recognizes its wandering without shame. Shame would obstruct return. Humility opens space for growth. The soul accepts its condition honestly. Awareness thrives in acceptance. The return of awareness dissolves fragmentation. The heart no longer feels scattered. Attention gathers naturally. What was divided begins to integrate. Awareness unifies without force. Return does not isolate the heart from life. It reconnects life to depth. Activity continues, but meaning returns beneath it. The soul participates fully again. Awareness supports engagement rather than withdrawal. The moment awareness returns, longing reawakens. Longing does not demand satisfaction. It restores direction. The heart feels drawn without strain. Awareness carries longing gently. Return sharpens discernment. The heart senses alignment and misalignment clearly again. This clarity does not create anxiety. It restores trust. Awareness guides without pressure. The heart stops waiting for permission to return. Permission was never required. Awareness was always available. The soul simply needed to notice. Notice restores connection instantly. The return of awareness renews sincerity. Sincerity does not feel forced. It feels natural. The heart resumes its inward turning without effort. Awareness sustains sincerity quietly. Return also restores patience. The soul no longer rushes to correct everything at once. Awareness allows unfolding. Correction follows clarity naturally. The heart remains steady. As awareness settles, the heart regains softness. Hardness dissolves without resistance. Sensitivity returns without overwhelm. Awareness carries strength gently. The moment awareness must return is the moment it does. No preparation, no delay. Recognition itself is return. The heart does not travel far to come back. It simply stops looking away. Awareness stands revealed as what was never absent. What has been revealed is not meant to alarm the heart, but to return it to attentiveness. The greatest danger is not falling away, but drifting without awareness, because what is unseen continues to shape direction. Once the heart begins to notice itself again, the silent slide loses its power. Awareness is not a burden added to life. It is the life that was always meant to be lived consciously. The moment attention returns, comfort no longer governs, and neglect no longer disguises itself as stability. What felt ordinary begins to reveal its cost. If this reflection stirred recognition rather than fear, allow that recognition to remain gently alive. It is not condemnation, it is protection. The heart that watches itself is never left unattended, and the moment it turns inward again, guidance is already present. Nothing needs to be forced. Just remain honest, remain attentive, and do not look away from what you now see.